Your life will change forever the moment that you decide to get up early and really attack your day. Go to bed at the same time every day. Don't use an alarm. Sleep as much as you need, but the second you wake up, you're gonna get yourself going. Let me tell you all about what my life looked like before I started getting out of bed and really getting after it. I really try to avoid for myself in the morning. All of it is designed to cognitively optimize myself, to get me moving, to not be reliant on anything outside of myself, to get up, get moving. I'm not allowing distractions into my life. I'm just getting to work on those things that matter to me. And that is how you take control of your morning and really get effective. If you struggle getting up and getting your day started early, even though you want to and know that you should be doing it, this comes down to two things. One, it's all mechanism all the time. What are you doing with your night routine to make sure that you're getting to bed on time? Because the reality is, if you're tired, you're not gonna wanna get up. The reason so many people lack motivation is because of, as Vince Lombardi said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. If you're tired, you just don't have what you need to face the day. Life is hard. Being a human is difficult. Life is gonna kick you in the face. The second law of thermodynamics makes abundantly clear that life moves inextricably towards one thing: chaos. And the only way to tame the chaos and create order in your life is by pouring energy into the system. To pour that energy into the system, you need energy at two levels: at the cellular level and psychological energy. Now, it's easy enough to get yourself pumped up psychologically, but to get yourself pumped up at a cellular level, you have to make sure that you are getting to bed on time, getting plenty of sleep, eating right, and getting exercise and meditating. If you're not doing those things, then you're not gonna be primed at a cellular level. Now, to get the psychological energy, we get to the second thing. You just don't want it badly enough. Most people don't want the thing that they're pursuing in their life for two reasons. Reason number one, you don't realize that desire is a process. You build desire for things. You were not born with some intense, insatiable desire. You do have imperatives that evolution has given us, but you don't have these intense desires other than like hunger, thirst, sexual drive. But you certainly don't have a drive to go to the gym. You don't have a drive to be more successful at work. That's actually only minorly true. Certainly for guys, you probably do have a pretty strong imperative to gain access to resources, but it will not direct you towards the thing that you're specifically going to pursue. So you'll have a vague sense of, I want to do more, I want to be more, I want to be admired, I want to be at the top. But the top of what? That's where people get themselves into trouble, because they lack that clarity. They lack that clarity because they don't realize that you just have to pick something that you already respond positively to naturally. You encountered it, it gave you more energy than it took, you're naturally drawn to that thing, you want to do it. Okay, but it's not going to be like, oh my God, I need to dedicate the rest of my life to this. I spring out of bed in the morning because I'm so excited about this thing. That is not how it works. You'll just be like, oh, that's cool, I dig that thing. Now, if you go put time and energy into building desire, which is basically the process of explaining to yourself why that thing matters to you. And as you repeat that in an embodied way, meaning you embody the enthusiasm for that thing that you want to feel, and you loop around it, and you actually go and get better at that and do it in the world, and people are like, oh man, that's so cool, I love that you can do that thing, and you get that positive feedback, and it was already energizing to you, and you loop around why it matters, why am I investing in this so much? And you do that over and over in an embodied way. Now all of a sudden, 6 months later, a year later, it really is this raging inferno at the center of your soul, something that you care about and want incredibly deeply. But you have to go down that process of gaining mastery, of really pushing yourself around why you're gonna love this thing so much. And then it actually becomes real. You become what you repeat. So if you're repeating that you're an idiot, that you don't love yourself, that will become true. Now, self-worth is a very complicated topic that is beyond the scope of this conversation, but just know that you do become what you repeat. So be very thoughtful. All right, those really are the two reasons that people are going to struggle. So you have to focus on making sure that you're getting yourself energized for this thing that you're pursuing. And then you have to make sure that mechanistically you're doing the things that you need to do so you're not tired all the time. But most people fail to get enough sleep. They go to bed with such wild swings that it's like having jet lag. Like everybody goes, oh yeah, if I traveled to the East Coast from the West Coast and I had 3 hours of jet lag, of course I'm gonna be tired. Well, what do you think happens when your bedtime swings by an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? You're gonna experience that same kind of disruption in your sleep cycle. Also, people do a lot of things to have poor sleep hygiene, from breathing through their mouth, taking in blue light, going to bed at different times, watching TV right before they go to bed, checking their text messages, reading emails, working on stressful things. All of this stuff are things that are going to disrupt your sleep. And the biggest one, which we haven't even talked about, how close to your bedtime do you eat food? I have roughly 7 hours between my last meal and my bedtime. And it's amazing. And I have found that if I even eat within 3 hours of going to bed, I can feel the difference. Now, 3 hours is, I would say, good. If you got 3 hours of distance between the last moment you were chewing, so not when you start the meal, the last moment you were chewing and when you go to bed, you're in pretty good shape. I think you will find that you sleep better the longer that you stretch that period out. There's, of course, also a lot of individual variability. I've heard some very interesting information around carbohydrates, and if you have your last meal has a fair amount of carbohydrates, that you will sleep better. Now, I find for me that that actually is true. If I have carbohydrates, but they're not high sugar, wear a glucose monitor, it's very enlightening. But if I have something that doesn't spike my glucose massively, so think about doing a lot of greens, things like that, leafy greens, that I actually will sleep better, but I need to have a pretty big distance still between my last meal and when I go to bed. You're gonna have to experiment with the stuff. When it comes to diet, there's so much individual variability. It's absolutely terrifying, so try it, run that. But I find that most people eat within an hour, maybe 90 minutes before they go to bed. That's gonna disrupt your sleep massively. So be very thoughtful about trying that and experimenting. Once you get all of that down and you hold yourself accountable to doing all of this stuff, then I think you're gonna find getting up is very easy. But if you don't address how badly you want the thing that you're getting out of bed for and your physiology, it's going to be a struggle forever. And last but not least, I'll throw in a little bonus here, and that is you have to have standards. I'm angry with myself if I don't get out of bed in 10 minutes or less. I'm angry at myself if I don't go to bed on time, because I really want the things that I'm pursuing. So be really thoughtful about that. Don't do it because you ought to. Find a way to get excited about it, then build rules in your life around that. And so you're doing it because it's what you want for yourself. And so the reason that you're upset with yourself when you don't do it isn't because you're worried about disappointing other people. It's because you really want it and you're not acting in accordance with that. That's it.